It's 7 p.m. So I'd like to call this meeting of the Londonderry Budget Committee to order at 7:01 p.m. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's be seated. All right, first, the approval of the January 20th, and let me get the agenda up in front of me. Approval of the January 20th, January 29th minutes. Are there any amendments from anyone here for any of the minutes?
I thought I had one. On the 29th minutes, I know that Kate mentioned, or Nicole, you requested to add something onto the annual report. Didn't you have some things that you wanted to add onto that?
Yeah.
Or suggestions? Okay. Because I don't think that was put in there.
Okay.
So
Is it just
we'll
making
detail that out.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Other than that, that was it.
Alright,
Good
so.
catch, thank you.
Then can I have a motion? So first for the 20th, then can I have a motion to approve the January 20th minutes of the Londonderry Budget Committee?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. Can I have a motion to amend the January 29th minutes with Rebecca's recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in affirmative, and now can I have a motion to accept those minutes?
Yes,
So-
All in favor, say aye.
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 Alright, the chair votes in affirmative. Alright, that's done. Procedural work is done. Alright, so now, a little Q&A with budget committee candidates. So, what I'd like you guys to do is just give us a little bit about yourself. We've got some questions that we'd like to ask you, and, so, yeah, come talk about, why you're running. First, let's just go around, candidates, just introduce yourselves. I'm gonna do this in alphabetical orders, and I don't have names to faces quite yet. So we'll start.
I'll go first. My name's Kevin Kohler.
Cool.
Matt Taplin.
Matt Tapley.
Jeff Penta.
Jeff Pento.
Isaac Fernandez.
That's friends. Alright, so Koluk, so we'll do by last name, so Koluk, so Kevin.
Fernandez.
Or Fernandez. Oh, with a K. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so then, yeah, Fernandez, so Isaac. Tell us, about yourself, why you're running for budget committee, and we'll ask some questions for you.
Okay. So.
Oh, actually, if you want to come up, just so that the microphone can
Oh,
pick
yeah.
you up. Yeah, these guys, I'm not sure what their reach are.
Yeah, push one closer.
Oh. Oh, they're wireless.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fancy. Yeah, my name is Isaac Fernandez. I moved to town in the summer of '24, so pretty new to town. My wife and I moved here while she was pregnant with our first, so we had our daughter a few months after we moved, and my mother joined us. So I'm familiar with Londonderry because my brothers lived here for about 20 years, and so lots of visiting, and I've always found it quite a quaint town and a beautiful place. So besides being here for my brother, we've always found a lot to like in Londonderry. And I went to a few different events in the town to start to familiarize myself and just wanted to get more involved. And so I got an email that said there wasn't quite enough people running for some of the open positions, and my background is in finance, and so I thought, well, maybe that'll be a good fit. So I signed up, and yeah, that's kind of the short story for myself.
Alright, so I've got some boilerplate questions that I'll give everyone. So, first, in your personal life, either in work or at home, what skills would you be bringing to the budget committee that space in either budget management?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, my background is in finance, so I went to school I have an undergraduate in finance and concentration in finance with an MBA, and I worked in private equity for about 10 years. So I'm kind of like the go-to person for friends and family on budgets and finance and stuff, and very comfortable with Excel spreadsheets and numbers. So I think that would probably be the main thing that I would be able to bring to the table. I'm also very happy to pick up a phone, make calls, and talk to people. So I understand that you guys do some work with the different expense departments in the town, and I would have no problem with any of that kind of work. So.
Alright, and then the budget committee, for the majority of the year, we meet once a month on Thursdays, 7 p.m. But during budget season, that's from November through January, we're meeting at least twice a week. Over at town hall or across the street, wherever it is, at the high school. These meetings can be long, a few hours, they can last late into the evening. This sort of time commitment of being able to spend just within the meetings, not including anything else that you would do outside of our meeting works. Is this, like this time commitment, are you going to be able to give this time to the budget committee? Is that something that you'll be able to do?
Yeah, I had a call with Kate before I went down and signed up, so I am familiar with how it gets, well, it's been described to me how it gets more rigorous
Yeah.
towards the end of the year, and yeah, I'm prepared to meet those requirements.
Other questions?
Were you gonna say something? Were you able to see or witness any of the deliberative sessions?
I'm rather unfamiliar with what's how the meetings have gone recently, or any of the ins and outs of what you guys are actually doing besides a call I had with Paul and Kate and just trying to get up to speed pretty quickly. So any of the specifics of exactly how things happened recently, I'm actually unfamiliar.
That's okay, yeah, I was, okay, that's fine, that's an answer. And if I could just ask one more question, can you just clarify, I know you said, that you wanna become more involved. I mean, is that really the main reason that you wanna run? Are there any other, interests that you have with the town, or anything that you think you wanna bring forward, as part of the budget committee?
No, I'm not even familiar enough with what you guys I have some understanding. I went to the meeting with the town manager when he was coming on board and got some understanding, but it's probably gonna take me a meeting or two, and I have gone to the website and read everything on the budget committee and looked up the budget from last year and stuff, but I'm guessing I'm gonna need some first-hand experience at a meeting or two before I can grasp kind of the specific things the town needs. So I'm more coming at it from my understanding that there was a need. I thought I might fit that role, and so but I'm also pretty good at learning quickly, especially in the Department of Budgets and Numbers and Excel sheets and stuff. So I'm confident I can get up to speed. But no, I don't have any. I think we should really focus on not cutting expenses here or trying to expand revenue there. I'm not in a place to offer any guidance right now. So.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Isaac?
The only question I had was time commitment, which you already asked. I know that when I first started, I was not aware of how long during budget season it would go. Now I do. So yeah, it's really just making sure that you understand how long these meetings can go. I think the longest one we had this year was 12:30.
Yeah, Katie mentioned that one went past
Yeah.
midnight.
And that wasn't bad compared to prior years. That was.
But just making sure that you are aware of that time commitment and that you're able to do it.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't if it was a year-round thing, but
Yeah.
my understanding is it's like for a 6-week period or something, and it's
Yeah.
like twice a week or something like that. Is that?
I'd say
2 to
3
3.
months. November
Well,
through.
There's a break for,
The holidays.
The holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And in fairness, the town manager has expressed that he wants to, transition the process, make it a little bit longer, so not longer as concentrated, but just spread out the budget season a little bit to give everybody a little bit more time to take in the information and ask all the questions they need.
That
Like
way
starting
we don't.
in May, June versus starting in November. and
Yes.
then-
That way we don't meet for for such long time.
It doesn't have to be so intense that
Yeah.
way, right, yeah. And we've also thrown around the idea, I think, in our last meeting about potentially driving the budget meetings a little bit differently. So I think there's room for changing things in the future also.
If there's no other questions for Isaac, then thank you for coming today.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
All right, sir, are you running for budget committee?
I am
What's your name?
George Combs.
All right, so we're going right back up to the top of the alphabet. So George, if you'd like to tell us why you're running for the budget committee.
Well, similar to what he just said, I heard there were positions open. I haven't been politically active in town. I've been in town for 35 of the last 40 years, so I've been here a long time. I've owned 3 houses. I like the town. I want to try and see it maintain its status as one of the nicer towns in the state. So my background is I'm a chemical engineer. I used to design a lot of projects, but I've moved into project management in the last 10 years, so I do a lot of budget development and then budget management, and I thought those would be good skills to bring to the town.
So would you like to expand into between in your personal life and work life, what skills you'd be bringing to the budget committee?
Well, I have been in a few areas in town. I've had kids in Boy Scouts, I've had kids in LAFA. I have 4 children who went through town. They're all grown up now. One happens to be a
Yeah.
town council, so we'll just get that elephant out of the room. But I've seen how the town does a lot of different things, and I like a lot of the aspects of the town, what attracts people to the town. I understand there's a lot of concern about the tax rate, what it is in town. And you need to be prudent with the tax rate, but you also have to continue to invest in the town to make sure that it stays a place that keeps our property values up and is a nice place for people who want to come and live.
Alright, and then time commitment. Like I've said before, for 3/4 of the year, it's just a Thursday a month, but during budget season, at least a couple times a week, and then in long hours, that's something that you'll be able to.
Yeah, it's Thursday nights are a good night for me. My wife has other plans typically on Thursday nights, so it's an available night to start off with. I'm getting near the end of my career, but I'm still working. But I think what has been discussed for time commitments is reasonable.
Any other questions for George?
Yeah, I have like a 2-part question. So first, my question is whether or not you attended or watched anywhere the deliberative sessions, and if so, I would ask you as a follow-up to that, if you were on the budget committee now, are there any articles that you're aware of where you might have voted no already? It's okay if you don't have that level of detail, but.
No, we actually traveled. I visited my father on the weekend, so first time in probably 10 years I've missed the deliberative sessions. I had pre-read a number of them. I don't remember any of them
That's
at the
okay.
moment.
Yeah.
I know there's a large number of them.
So many, yeah. But it sounds like you've at least you've been to many of
Oh,
the.
typically I go to those, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so you've got a sense of what that's
Yep.
all about. Okay, excellent, thanks.
So you mentioned, I think you nailed it with the tax rate, but also wanting to maintain a nice community. What would you say the priorities are for the town and where should we focus our time and resources?
I am not totally sure what the percentages are for budget things, but I would think the basic functions of the town are roads, repair the roads, maintaining the roads, and all the other infrastructure that's in the town. Keep that up and snuff, even the equipment that the maintenance crews have. And then looking at things like, I don't know what we're doing for staffing, whether there's standard staffing and then we've got reduced staffing, and then we wind up spending a lot of time on overtime. And so that's one of those kind of trade-offs you have to look at and see whether or not there's opportunities to economize and be at a better, sweeter spot on those things. But I'm not privy to any of those details at this point, so I can't say.
Understood.
Any other questions for Joy? All right, thank you very much for coming
Thank you.
tonight.
Thank you.
All right, so then alphabetically, so Kevin, now wait. Okay, yep. All right.
Kevin Kohler. My story is actually very similar to Isaac. I moved here recently, about 5 years ago now, just prior to the birth of my first son. So as he stated, I'm just looking to get more involved in the community. With one son coming to be school age, I have my concerns there, and that's kind of what brought me here.
Nice. All right, so in your personal work life, what skills would you be able to bring to the budget committee?
Professionally, I'm a vice president of estimating for a commercial construction company. So we deal with budgets and different subcontractors daily in terms of both getting prices, making the budgets work. So obviously, it's a different than a town, but it does lend into that aspect.
All right. And then the time commitment, you've heard a lot about what that is.
Yeah, to be truthful, I wasn't 100% of educated in exactly what the meeting schedule was and stuff like that. The time commitment's not an issue. Obviously, if they did extend out the busy season, that would be advantageous for. And I don't want to speak to everyone else. It'd certainly be advantageous for me with young children, but I do know what I'm getting into.
All right. Good. And then you mentioned when you're saying why you're running about the schools. Could you expound upon that?
Yeah, and again, I don't know the ins and outs of the budget, but I do know there are some issues with the health insurance in the schools and some of the overtime issues with city employees and stuff like that. So I am familiar. There's budget constraints. How those can be addressed, I can't speak on. But and obviously the issues with the library. So I know there are budget issues and funding issues, and like every homeowner here or in town, there's concern with the tax rate and how that all gets paid for. So, and I don't know how it all gets paid for, so I don't want to speak on that, but this is kind of why I'm looking to get involved.
All right. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'll ask the same question about the deliberative sessions, whether or not you're familiar with them or,
I'm familiar with them, but not enough to speak on individual articles or anything like that.
Yeah.
Basically, my knowledge, I just expounded my vast knowledge of the budget with the couple of issues with the school and the library and the overtime pay and
That's fair,
stuff
yeah.
like that. So I apologize. I'm not well
no,
enough
that's
versed in-
okay. When I was in your seat, there were a lot of things I didn't know also,
Yeah.
so it's totally reasonable.
all right. Well, thank you very much for your time, Kevin.
Appreciate it.
All right. Moving on next to
Jeff.
yes, Jeff.
Don't worry, I always went last. Every class, team's always at the end.
All right.
So yeah. So just tell us about yourself. Why you're running for budget committee.
Yeah, no, and thank you. So I've lived in Londonderry since 2012. Yeah, so over a decade now. My kids are in the school system. I'm attending an almost 13-year-old in a few days that she continues to remind me of. So it's an incredible community. It reminds me of kind of the hometown that I grew up in. The close-knit values and kind of the opportunities for the kids to grow with various activities and such like that. Since 2020, I've been on the planning board. I currently sit as the vice chair of that board. The past 18 months, I've steered our master plan steering committee, where we pretty much, our engagement numbers for the input into that report is exceeds any of the engagement numbers within our within the Southern Hampshire region. That kind of has to do with, one, the commitment of the community to kind of put that information in, provide us with that feedback, but also the opportunities that the steering committee provided to get feedback and really kind of engage. What we found was that our residents in our community, businesses, they still like that close-knit community, but they also want those modernized services and those efficient kind of ways of finding efficiencies. So one of the reasons that if I'm answering everyone's questions, I apologize. One of the reasons that I'm definitely running is to ensure that we can think strategically on what our master plan says, where things are funded, and how we can kind of grow from there. So one example, so what's that look like? Well, if we look at driving efficiencies, we look at kind of what are the services that our community members rely on? What are they waiting for? What are, who's pushing paper? Who's pushing kind of other kind of non-technical aspects? Can we find savings there? Can we find savings in the efficiencies? If someone asks, "Hey, I need this position," my gut is why. So why? What's the problem you're trying to solve? How is it going to improve the community? Is it a regulatory kind of issue? Is it a gap that we're trying to fill? Is this a one-time hit to the budget, or is this going to be a continuous, or is this going to be a continuous annual expense that we'll need to kind of account for? I'll stop there because I'm thinking that there's probably some other questions.
No, you're good. This is your time to introduce yourselves to us in the town.
Yeah.
So there's more that we want to say, but I guess I'll just get into some questions. And so first, what skills in your professional, your personal, and also in your volunteerism on the different boards in town, what skills do you bring that will be in addition to the budget committee?
Yes, so for over 20 years, I've led transformation type projects within higher education. Higher education is incredibly regulated, has a lot of rules, a lot of eyes on it. So I've kind of navigated those kind of structures, understanding different stakeholders' needs. Obviously, the budget committee is not a project planning committee. However, the budgets that I've definitely have overseen, putting from, if we look at from a contract, third-party vendors, definitely meets or exceeds budgets that are with budgets within our municipality. So driving projects forward might how those are successful is by talking to people and speaking that kind of driving towards that North Star, and having everyone have an idea of what that North Star is, what's the outcome we're trying to kind of improve here. So as we look at again, probably using the example of new hires, again, why are we bringing these folks on? Why, what's the need there? Why is that kind of, what's the impact, to that? Are we leveraging our current technology spend as much? From what I've found in my past experience, is that we in the places that I've worked, we invested in the technology, but we also invested in the people, but we never invested in the processes to drive those efficiencies. So that's where the gaps kind of were. And once we started to kind of unpack that, and once we started to really look at what those how to kind of close those gaps, we were able to, and I'm just throwing out, double to triple our output without hiring and bringing on new staff, without hiring and bringing on new insurance, without hiring and bringing on types of that nature. I look at the town. We have great people that serve us. We have great people that are within the positions here, but do they have the necessary tools to kind of serve the greater community? And if we're investing in these if we're investing in these technologies, we're investing in these tools, are we bringing them to, again, it goes back to that process aspect. Are our process optimized for that? So that's where I can come in and very much, work with the department heads, work with various departments, be their partner, really, just to kind of understand what their needs are. From a volunteer standpoint, you mentioned, I was in the master plan and planning board. I've also sat on the capital improvement program committee for a number of years and chaired it for 1 year. For the capital improvement program is housed under the planning board, but there's representation of the budget committee as well as the town councilor, where the school and the town bring forward capital improvement projects in a 6-year kind of timeline. So through that process, I'd like to say that it's working, but I think what definitely we found within the master plan is that we have to kind of have that process evolve a little bit. It has to be a really workable process. I mean, we have multiple CIP plans that are out there for 10 years, and if you look at some of those projects, are we even looking at them? So what's the purpose of throwing a project on a plan if we are not looking at that? So that's where I would definitely kind of bring my planning board hat as well, if I get elected on the budget committee, my budget committee hat to that process to really kind of optimize it for residents, so we understand where our capital expenses needs are. We can really actually truly deal with traffic and understand what the problems are with traffic. I could go on and on with traffic,
Yeah.
but it's not a planning board meeting. So I'll. But as a town, I think we need to also kind of be think strategically on these aspects, and this is where kind of the town manager, where I align really kind of with the way that he's kind of approaching things as well. Bringing in a strategic plan. I've already had conversations. We have to map what's in our master plan to that strategic plan, so we can get the appropriate budgets aligned.
All right. Any other questions?
Sure. So I know you were at the deliberative session because I saw you there.
Yes.
So my question for you is, what's your impression of those, and what do you think maybe you could add or bring as a member of the budget committee?
Yeah, no, I think the deliberative session, first, it's a great opportunity for the town to kind of see the work that the council has put in, see the work that the budget committee has put in, hear the justification of those warrant articles and such. You would love to say, yeah, all town folks are like me and they watch all the town council meetings and school board meetings, but they don't, or read in the newspaper or what have you, but they don't. So this is one of those opportunities to bring the community together. I think it's pretty much adding strength on strength here, where I would very much want to be kind of have the opportunity to kind of communicate to the public. So if there was a warrant article that I would not support, the reasons why I would not support it would be, it would have a negative impact on the services. It would increase our tax rate without providing any good return on investment for our community. And from a long-term standpoint, it doesn't make sense. Context is key on that one. So obviously, where we would, I would definitely kind of look at it from, I would have clearer examples, if I had, if I was better prepared. But what I would definitely kind of look at is really taking it from, what's the problem we're trying to solve? Is that solving the problem? And frankly, what's the timeline on it? Is it like a one-time hit, or is this going to be, or are we rolling this into the operational budget? Because I have questions about that constantly. Okay, so we have this warrant article. So is it just going to roll into the operation budget? So we probably need to have further discussions on kind of where things sit, short and long term.
Yeah.
So that's how I would approach that.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Joe?
Joe didn't ask,
Oh,
like he has been, but would you plan on retaining your position on the planning board as well? Just when we talk about, well, it's appointed as opposed to elected, right?
Technically, the
Oh.
law says I can.
Okay.
If elected, it makes sense for others in the community to kind of have the opportunity to kind of go to planning board meetings, go to meetings twice a month, some of those meetings lasting to 1:30 in the morning. It's a great opportunity for folks.
You buying or selling?
So with that, it would definitely be something that I've thought about, but definitely my feeling is kind of rooted in my leadership philosophy. Having one person do a lot doesn't make sense for the overall goals. So I think that's where I would probably kind of sit. Would it be immediately? I don't know. I don't want to leave the town in a bind. But that's if I'm elected. So we have some good candidates here.
Good answer. And given your experience, what would you say, aside from traffic, top 1 to 3 priorities for the town?
Ensuring that we stabilize, continue to stabilize our tax rate. Again, it's probably one of the lowest in the region, but we want to continue to kind of stabilize that. Londonderry provides the Southern Hampshire region with a lot. We have the airport, we have 93, and that's kind of like where 93 is. You have folks from Hudson going to exit 4. You have folks from Southern Manchester going to exit 5 to go to Boston. So that's part of the traffic issue as well. The master plan, the residents were very clear on this. Continue to kind of have that close-knit community. So what's that mean, right? Because residents also want those services. They don't want to come to town hall in angst. They want to, I would probably look at town hall more or less being, if we can solve any type of efficiency issues, be a place where folks can come in and, just be part of the community and such like that. Have a really great experience. Continue to have that great experience. Not that I've always had great experiences coming in here, but we could always be better, right? So again, it's looking at that people, process, technology kind of framework. We do have, Londonderry is in a very desirable spot. So developers are looking at Londonderry here. We're known for our farmlands. However, it's unfortunate, and I'm sure the decisions that these landowners are making is heartbreaking. These are family generational farms. Yeah, they're making money on selling the land and stuff like that. It's heartbreaking for them, heartbreaking for the community. So what's the type of developments that we're kind of looking at? I also think that we definitely need to look at other ways to increase revenue that does not burden the tax. That full stop, does not burden the taxpayer. There are definitely, I think the town manager a few weeks ago presented 8 or so different kind of funding mechanisms that we should be looking at. And I would be fully in support of kind of understanding that. Again, what's the pros, what's the cons of kind of all of those aspects. I know impact fees in the last year have come up, before. And that's one of the reasons why having a strong capital improvement program is critical.
Thank you.
I know that you said that if you were elected, you would probably step back from the planning board, but you weren't sure when. With that said, do you think you would have time to do both if there's an overlap with you being on?
Yeah, it's a great question. So that decision would probably be made sooner rather than later, and well before getting into kind of budget season. But yes, I would. So the master plan, and I'll put a plug in. Thanks for actually throwing this as an opportunity for me to plug it. We're in a public comment period. So you can go online, read it, kind of provide the steering committee feedback. That's going to be presented to the planning board on March 4th. And after it's presented and presumably adopted at that time, barring any major changes, then the work of this master plan steering committee kind of is done at that point. So I retire from that position. From a planning board standpoint, I would definitely, really simply, yeah, I would definitely kind of have the time and ensure that I would have the time.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
All right, Rebecca, you're up.
Okay. I'm Rebecca Rowe. For those of you that don't know, I was appointed to the budget committee back in late November, early December. Financial background, I have been a church clerk for over a year, so I do look at the expenses versus income quite often. Spreadsheet privy, all that. I'm very detail oriented, so I like to pick things apart and look into it. I definitely would have the time for this. I have learned over the last couple months. So yeah.
All right. So, besides your background as a church clerk, anything else that you've will draw on to be able to add to the budget committee? Any sort of skills or anything else that will be able to help you be a better member?
Yep. So like I said, I'm very detail oriented. So I sometimes fixate on things, which can be good and bad. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot of professional experience financially. I'm only 25, so I know that might not be an excuse, but yeah.
And then time commitment, you already said. Any other questions for Rebecca?
Yes. Yeah, I have one. Actually, I have like a special Rebecca question.
Okay.
So, because you've experienced the budget committee now, do you have any thoughts on what might be improved, like for the next year, or whether it's doable or not is a separate discussion. But what are your thoughts on improving, whether it's like the process or how they work together?
I think we talked about this last meeting, how possibly separating the budget committee meetings from the town council meetings. I would recommend that. I feel like during the budget process especially, it kind of gets buried with all the other town council stuff that is talked about. So maybe separating it would be beneficial. That way it's not so much information for the townspeople especially to have to be there for. I had another one. Oh, also with the liaison, I think that would be a good idea for one of us to be a part of the different departments, in making their budget, kind of being alongside with them. That way we don't have all these random questions to ask them, and that we're all on the same page as far as how it's being built, and that way we're more informed, and that way we can inform the townspeople as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What was your biggest takeaway or the one thing you learned during the budget season?
It's a great question. One thing that I learned, how thorough, I guess. Well, one thing was how much time, not just with the meetings, but how much time it took to go over everything, and how it does take a lot of attention to detail to pick certain things out. That way you're asking good questions. But also just how much work goes into creating a budget, how many departments there are that have to hopefully work together in creating it.
And being thrown into it, you did a great job.
Thank you.
Very insightful questions this year.
Thank
so.
you. Thank you.
Alright, well then almost, well thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Alright, last but not least, Matt.
The microphone can hear me?
Yeah.
Alright, so, name's Matt. I was thinking about what everybody was saying, and I was like, I moved to Londonderry in 2013, but I basically was involved in Londonderry from 2003 till today, because I worked at Insight, and Insight, I think, was a big part of Londonderry early on, right? Because we were one of the biggest manufacturers in the state. So somewhere around 13, my wife had the great idea of saying, we should build a house. I'm like, sure. I'm only going to school full time to get my MBA and working 12 hours a day at Insight, so why not? let's do that. That's like a great idea, right? So I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. She said no, and we saw that Mill Pond had started to open up again from LaMontagne, and we're like, wow, this is like the perfect opportunity. So we literally moved 2 miles from Manchester over to Londonderry on the same road, Bodwell Road to Old Derry Road. And I become a program manager around 2009 and been doing program management for like the last 17 years. So program management is kind of like you spend your whole day basically with budgets, right? Constraints, working to pull levers to move things up and down. So I said, this is probably a good opportunity for me. We got 2 girls. I say 2 girls. I got a daughter and a goddaughter. We had good friends in Londonderry that passed away, and we've been surrogate parents to the daughter for the last couple of years. She was in the Londonderry band. My wife is the coach for the color guard team. So I'm down there on Friday nights supporting my daughter. Both my daughters loved going to school here. So I was like, you know what? I had heard that they had a need, and Kevin Gray and Amanda Butcher were like, Matt. And I'm like, yeah, you've been chasing me for a while now, for a few years. I'm like, yep, I'll do it. So I came down and signed up, and I said, I think I'd fit in pretty good, and we like giving back, just in general, my wife and I, wherever we can to help. So time commitment, I just told you I was getting my MBA full time on top of building the house. So yeah, I get the time commitment thing. A lot of nights I was going to bed at 12:30, 1 o'clock, and getting up at 6, 7 o'clock to go back to work. So happens. I did it for a couple of years. I wouldn't recommend anybody doing that for a couple of years, but so that's kind of where I'm at.
All right, so you answered so time commitment, you said that you get that. Just what other skills within your professional, your personal life that you'll be able to bring to the budget committee?
And one of the things I was curious about is, you know, I was a little bit shocked when I dug into the process of they deliver something to you. So I'm a big believer in the why, and if you get involved early on, you get the why. So then when you get everybody together to start talking about the things, because you got to work with the whole group, you can spend that time adding value and not reviewing numbers and explaining, right? You can get through that process quick. The other thing I'd be curious about is tools. You know, I know people get upset when they hear this at times, but the world of AI today, right? Like I'm writing scripts at work now to develop project plans in hours, which used to take us weeks, right? Am I relying on AI? No, because AI will throw you off in a hurry. But it gets you in the right direction really quick. So you can make tools. I'm making Python scripts. I'm a mechanical engineer. I didn't go to school for computer science. Now I'm writing scripts, and they're actually really useful for helping get through processes that are time consuming. So to me, it's about, can we develop ways to move faster to collecting information, because that can be laborious. It's then add value where we add value with our minds, making the decisions that we need to make.
Yeah, I wish Patrick was here to dive into what he has done on the budget committee. Should you be elected, you'll be working with him.
Sure.
He has used different tools to help dive into the budgets, into both AI and not, to be able to take a peek inside like we haven't been able to do in years prior.
And I'm lucky enough that I have police officer that lives in the neighborhood. Paul Dutton's a principal, lives in the neighborhood. Dave Sutherland, and I got a pool, so it's natural congregation spot in the summer. So I get to hear about all the good and the bad and everything else. So I've just been naturally like integrated into the community for a number of years, and I know a lot of people. I go up to the Legion once in a while to have a beer, and Dave Wally, and listen to him gripe about things, and right. So Dave's a great guy, right? It's a tough job, so.
That's right. All right. Any other questions from that?
Yeah.
Sure.
So let me ask you the same question about the deliberative session, because I saw you. I met you
Stayed for the
there.
whole school one.
It's okay if you weren't.
I only
there
did
for the
about
whole
half of the town one because it was my birthday.
It was also
And
very long.
It was, right?
Very
And
long.
I
It was
said
like
I-
7 hours, yeah.
Right.
So my question really is, like, what did you think of that process, and do you see ways that you might add value, or what was your take on the deliberative session?
I think it's a pretty good process. One of the things that was, and I kind of expected this going in, actually, haven't read some of the warrants, was the amount of clarity and communication you need to bring to the warrants, because if you don't word them just specifically, people pick on them. Like this one person was really picking on, it's not worded properly. So that means you could go off and do this, this, and this. And it felt like that was a little bit of conspiracy theory of, you're going to go spend the money somewhere else. But I could see how it could come across that way. So, like, making sure you're clear and concise and succinct in how you bring those warrants forth. The other thing that kind of happened, Jeff and I were out here talking to, I don't even know who the woman was, but after we came for the introductions the other day, and I don't know who she was, but I'm like, why are you giving out awards at the deliberative session? He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, why don't you give those out at Old Home Days when all the people that actually vote are there and they can be recognizing the people? And she's like, I'm like, because you don't get the turnout for a deliberative session that you would hope, like you would for Old Home Days. So that would take a little bit more time out of what you're doing, right? And compress that down and try to find ways to get through that quicker. And I think some of that is, right, I get it. People had things they wanted to say, and you got to listen to what they have to say, because there's some good, I think I saw a couple of amendments that actually came out of it. So, but anyway, you can be efficient. Communication is really important. That's probably something I've learned more than ever in the last 3 or 4 years, being a director of program management, is how to communicate in a way that is effective and efficient.
All questions for Matt?
Great answers.
Okay,
All right, well, thank you so much for coming.
sure. Thanks for having us.
Of course, of course. So I've got one. So Andrea could not be here, but she sent me a little a statement. So I'm gonna read it off on her behalf. So from Andrea Hansen, she's running unopposed for the 1-year term. Right. As a proud resident of Londonderry for 25 years, I care deeply about our community and the responsible stewardship of our town's resources. Over the past 19 years, I have worked in municipal government, collaborating closely with department heads, select boards, and budget committees to develop, review, and manage municipal budgets. My experience has given me a clear understanding of how local government operates and how critical thoughtful budgeting is to maintaining the services our residents rely on, while keeping a close eye on taxpayer dollars. I am committed to transparency, fiscal responsibility, and ensuring that every budget decision reflects the priorities and best interests of the Londonderry community. Best regards, Andy Hansen. Alright, well now that closes out the Budget Committee Q&A. Again, thank you all for coming this evening. If you'd like, you can still stick around. We've got a few things to wrap up for the year, and then we'll be done. So the next we've got on the agenda, continued discussion, finalization of the strategic plan. So, I'd made the changes to Patrick's, what he had proposed at last month's meeting. Is there anything additional for the strategic plan that anyone wants to bring forward with you guys?
I have a question.
Yes.
Do we know, because last meeting, I think Kate had mentioned it, do we know exactly how the departments are creating their budget? Are they starting from a zero-based budget and working up, or are they just increasing by a percentage? Do we know?
No.
No, okay.
Because I'll tell you, you will get different answers from the same
Right.
people throughout the course of the year. So, we don't know, which is why part of it, I believe that was one of Patrick's that you had brought up during the Q&A portion of having at least one person involved with the process from the very beginning so that we
Yeah.
can see where it goes. Because for some departments, it seems like they start with, they take from last year's and build off. Other departments, it gives the appearance that they take the union contracts, any federal or state requirements, and then they build from there. So it just, it depends. It would be nice to know actually what's going on, no
Yeah.
BS. Where are they starting from? How are they getting to where they are? What is being built into the default budget, and how are those defaults being built out?
I think that's more the question. I think if I had to guess, Justin is providing each department head with their new default budget,
Yeah.
and they're building off
The
that.
default,
Because I know Justin has a good handle on what is
yeah.
contained in default, all the CBAs, all the increases that need to be accounted for, and then the department heads go and say, I need X, Y, and Z. Maybe take from here, give to there, type of situation, but I can guarantee no one's starting from scratch.
It wouldn't be very efficient to do that though, right? Like start from scratch, I would imagine.
I mean,
I mean, most of it's personnel, so
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
not a lot of start, you have,
right,
Yeah.
you would start with
The
that and then kind of get to your bare bones of what you need and then
Yeah.
add on if necessary.
Or what is believed to be necessary.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean, we've got that, the strategic plan, so if there's nothing to add, I'm gonna take what we've talked about over the past 5 months. Email it all to you guys on one nice little package, because I know I still have to get the stuff from Kate. And once I have it all together, I'll just email it to you, and then I'll just email it to Kirsten and Sean. and then that'll be in their hands, and then, you know, the next budget committee, when you guys actually come in, you get to become a part of this process and see if there's anything else you wanna add on to the strategic plan and be involved with that, for the budget committee in the upcoming year. But, you know, so the goals that we have set for ourselves, mainly it's, right, you have accessibility to the budget, being able to, either through tools or communication from different departments, being able to take a look, figure out what's in it, how it got there, and have that open communications. We also have outreach with the residents, trying to do different things to be able to increase our ability to communicate with the residents of the town and communicate what we're doing as a budget committee and what changes are being made throughout the process. And then lastly, I'd say, yes, we got that.
Can I ask a
Just-
question?
Sure.
Do you take the pulse on business health? Like Insight, or like now you get Tesla and you get New Balance? The only reason I ask is because I grew up in a mill town where once the resources ran out, it was a major blow to the tax hit of the town. And the older population here, right, complains about the tax base. Rightly so. But I watched what happened in my hometown. Now the older population is suffering even more because the business is gone, and the tax base has shrunk so much because of that, right?
So what we're seeing and what we've been seeing for the past, like the past 10 years, you have the shifting of where before the, 60% of, just due to have the evaluations of the industrial buildings here, the businesses versus residential properties, 60% of that tax base used to be the business properties. 40% used to be residential. What we've seen is now it's inverted. So while everyone's the evaluations, your homes are worth more and more. 2, you're now responsible because of how residential evaluations have been, because of how quickly they've risen in value compared to commercial. 60% of the tax base is residential. So not only is your tax bill higher, but your share that you're being hit with is worth more. So
I was just curious, like, do people pulse the businesses, right? Because Insight, I know, like when I was there, we had 1,300 people, and I know now they're down below 600, and the building that's on Technology Way is empty. So it's like, if you're not keeping track of how these businesses are performing, at some point, it could have a big impact to you.
I don't know. I know we're not doing that on the budget committee.
Yeah.
But
I was just curious.
I'm
like,
not sure of what's being done on the town side. I don't know. That would be a good question for them. That would be a good question for the council for. Maybe that's something, an initiative that they can take up to be able to try to track that.
And I know they're building Envision, which is going to be Insight 2.0, right? So that's good, but how do you manage that, right? Because you can't just have somebody pull stakes and then all of a sudden you're at a loss.
Exactly. I have nothing to add to the strategic plan. In addition that we've already gone over, so maybe get like Monday email out to just give the once over, and if you guys are okay with it, I'll send it to Kirsten and Sean.
Sounds good.
Alright, perfect, we have consensus on that. Alright, other business. Any other business, hey Ryan, is there anything that you'd like to say before you sail off to the sunset with me?
Well, it's been fun. I think we've accomplished a lot over the last 3 years. I think we're more bigger presence throughout the budget season than in prior committees. Got a lot accomplished, and hope to be in some way, shape or form involved in the town going forward. That's
Planning
what- No, not yet. In years to come, but appreciate everybody's support.
You've been such a strong voice, and also, you know, what I've liked about you and working with you is when you find an issue, you're like a dog trying to get to the root of the problem. And also whenever you've made a proposition, either a reduction or hey, we need to take a look at this, it's come from a place of reasoning, of thoughtfulness, of I've looked into this, or I have so many questions about why this is here. So I want to thank you for your time, for your 3 years. I know,
Appreciate
you know,
that.
it's not easy work, especially with the quality that you've brought and all of your skills that you've brought to us.
Thanks, sir.
I've got a few words I want to say. I mean, it's been a long 5 years, but it's been a good 5 years on the budget committee. It was 5 years ago that I was sitting down there where you guys are, unsure of just what I was getting myself into. I thought, you know, I was told it's going to be once a month, and it's going to be easy. You know, the meetings might be a half hour. Oh, you know, if it's an hour, it's a lot. And boy, that first budget season, I was finishing college, working full time, and trying to do this. I definitely shocked myself with the amount of work that was there. But you know, it's been a privilege really to be here, to be twice elected and twice for the residents to say we want you back, being our voice. You know, I've met some really great people through this. My first chair, Chad, he was my mentor that first year, bringing me in. The things that he taught me of, you know, listen to the residents, even if they're going on and on. There's usually something, important nugget of information there, something that you'll be able to take, that'll be able to shape your view. And also it's your job to advocate for the residents. Even if you don't agree with what it is that they have to say, you know, it's important to go ahead, ask the council, ask the different departments, fight for them. Patrick Cassidy, our last chair, was big with collaboration and just with us as a body working together. That was something that I took, being able to, you know, we're not always going to agree with each other, but it's important not to get nasty, as we sometimes see on the other side of the wall. It's important to still respect each other. And that's someone like with Kate, I think she's been superb, and you know, Kate and I do not always agree, but one of the most important things is we always respect each other. Ryan, like I said before, I mean, you're a heck of a worker. You've always dug in. You've always come here with something thoughtful and something. You've backed everything up. Jason, who had to resign due to time commitments, incredibly inquisitive and always looking around and trying to, you know, get to the root of, you know, what's actually going on here. Why are the numbers the way they are? Why is the spending the way it is? And Sarah, who isn't here tonight, is on the committee. Quite a fighter, and you know, when there's something that she believed in, she went out there and just really fought for it. So yeah, meet all of you guys and work with you all and learn from you all. I also met my fiance through the budget committee. I was liaison to the school board, and I brought her to a school board meeting. She had been working in politics and wanted to meet some activists, and so that's where I met my future wife. Because of the budget committee, I would have gone to that meeting if it wasn't for that.
That's amazing.
And I would have.
Because of a school board meeting.
Yeah, almost 5 years ago now. So I'm thankful for a lot of what this position has given me. Not just, you know, it's been the good feeling of being able to give back, but I've met all of you, and it's really been a pleasure getting to meet all of you. I mean, of course, meeting my fiance, that was a plus, but you know, being a lifelong resident here, being able to give back to my town, that's always something that throughout the school districts they always put it. It's like give back, serve the community. So I'm blessed to have been able to do this for 2 terms. I'm blessed to have been able to get to know you all. Thankful for you all. Thankful for the rest of my family for putting up with my late nights and hours working and hours away from spending time with them. I'm also thankful for you guys who are watching, the residents of Londonderry who twice Said, Joseph, we want you, and then Joseph, we want you again. We're putting you through the ringer one more time. So, I guess to thank you all. It's really been a pleasure.
Thank you, Joe, for taking the role as chair this go
Yeah.
around. Did a great job keeping us on task. And again, I think it was a really successful budget season. So thank you for all you've done.
Thank you. Is there anything else for other business? So one last time, can I have a motion to open public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. So public comment, I should have opened in the beginning, I didn't, but you'll have plenty of time to speak. So you got 5 minutes, if there's anything that you'd like to say, come forward, name and address for the record. Alright, seeing none, can I have a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
You know, I'll actually make the motion, no, second. No, I'm not allowed, actually, wait, I'm the chair, I'm not allowed to, so, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. The Londonderry Budget Committee is adjourned at 8:06 p.m. We'll be meeting next Thursday, March 19th, 7 p.m., Moose Hill Council Chambers.